What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for sticking with us if you're a long-time subscriber. If you're new here and you like this kind of content, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Really helps out with what we're trying to do here on the channel. I am super excited to show you what we got going on today. Hang tight, let me bring it out. That's right, everybody. Weston, who's the parent company that owns Superwinch, reached out. So we want to send you something. I said, you know, I really love the Superwinch 10,000 that I have on here, and it's gray. Really be cool if I had the Midnight series. I could swap it out. I've had this on here for a little over 2 years, I think, the current Superwinch. So it was getting about time to replace the synthetic rope anyways. I'm probably the worst person in the world when it comes to maintenance on synthetic ropes. You should wash those things off sometimes and, you know, lube them up a little bit, all that kind of good stuff. I don't do any of that. I just keep it on there. This thing's never failed me. I'll put some clips in. I'll put the link in the video or in the description below of the video where we installed the first one. Show you a new video today on how to install it again, but this time we got the Superwinch SX Series Midnight Edition, and we're going to unbox this, see what all comes in the box, go over some of the nice things that Superwinch has to offer here. We'll just read it right off the box because I'm not good at remembering any of that stuff, but it is IP68 rated, so it's waterproof and dust resistant. It's got a limited lifetime mechanical warranty, 7-year warranty on the electrical components, 3-stage planetary gears. I know everybody, well not everybody, but a lot of people, right? You got like the top 4 winches in the Jeep community. Warn is typically number 1. Then you got number 2 spot fighting between Superwinch, Smittybilt, and then after that you have the Badlands that you get at Harbor Freight. All good winches. I think Warn is a good winch, but I think for the money, this is the best winch on the market. The Superwinch SX, they actually just came out with the Superwinch Scorpion, which is, I think, the same basic winch, just in a much smaller housing. So if you got tight spaces in behind your bumper or whatever, you can fit that. But we know this one fits in the bumper we got, and let's get it unboxed and see what we got going on. Alright, so let's unbox this bad boy. The Superwinch does come with a wireless handheld remote and a 12-foot wired remote with a flashlight. Fun fact, last time I used the Superwinch, we were towing a truck up onto a trailer, and I put this wireless remote on my tire and forgot about it. Drove off, ran it over, okay? Jeep JLU on 35s ran over this wireless remote, but much to my surprise, while the plastic housing did break a little bit, still worked fine, no problems at all. Let's get her out. All right, we got some instructions here. Looks like we got a nice Weston sticker. Here is the wired remote. Bolt kit, negative wire lead, Superwinch's giant hook, I forget exactly what this thing is called, but you can put it on your hook and just grab it, maybe like a, I don't remember what it's called. Either way. Y'all ready for this loveliness? The Midnight Black Edition. Woo-wee! Look at that. Powder coated black. Gonna match the metal cloak fenders. Beautiful. Just set some of this trash off to the side. See what we got in here. Superwinch comes with this aluminum Hall spare lead. A lot of these, when you buy them, right, it looks good on the outside, but then when you flip it over, it's completely hollow back here, making it pretty weak. Superwinch, they do have supports. It is hollow in places for weight savings and probably cost savings as well, but it's still got supports. I should say that Weston sent me this winch for free to do a video on. However, they did not say that I had to say good things about it. So if we find something in here we don't like, you will know about it. If I got enough muscles to get this thing out of here. Oh. Golly. She's a big girl. Look at that. Would you just look at it? All right, isn't she beautiful? It's gonna match the Jeep perfect. Look, we got a black bumper, a black bull bar, black fenders, blue Jeep. Now we got a black powder coated winch with blue accents. Superwinch is, so this is a remote, what you call it? Like a control panel, right? Where you plug your wired remote in here. But this is a remote mount, so you could actually take this off the top of the winch if you wanted to and mount it somewhere else. The positive cable's already wired in for you. Like I said, the negative cable here, so we'll have to wire that in. This is a 10,000 pound winch, which is perfect for a Jeep, especially a JLU. I think it's like roughly 6,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating on the Jeep JLU, something like that. So this was definitely enough winch to take care of that, to self-recover or recover others if you need to. Super easy to use clutch, just pull and turn. They do have the 3-stage planetary gears, which I think I mentioned earlier, but I think they're 218 to 1. So super great pulling power. And like I said, you saw in the clips earlier, I've pulled trees down, I've self-recovered, I've helped other people. We towed a truck on a trailer, all with this super winch. It's given me no problems, even with that abuse in the last 2 years or 2+ years. Not even the rope is broken, and I've done 0 maintenance on that rope. So no complaints from the super winch. I love it. On my last Jeep, I run the Smittybilt, and it was okay. I can tell you the super winch definitely spools faster and is quieter, and I just happen to like it a lot more than I do the Smittybilt. I've never actually owned a Warren, but a lot of my friends do. And this thing seems to work just fine. I'd say comparable, if not even better, especially for the money. So let's get the wireless remote here off. It's zip tied. Let's cut these zip ties and start installing this thing. Let's go. All right, so here's what we're gonna have to do. So we're going to have to take off the bumper. So we did a video on the installation of this bumper, and I also did a video on like a year review. Great bumper. My only complaint is how these washers get a little rusty, but outside of that I got no real complaints. We're gonna have to take off these 8 bolts for the bumper. We're gonna take off the factory 55 end here, and then once we get the bumper off, we'll start uninstalling this super winch. But as you can see, it's also an SX10, just in gray. Let's see if we can get a look at this rope here. So you can see she's dirty and nasty. The rope guard it's probably near its end of life, but actually still holding together pretty well. It's just all frayed here at the end, you can see. Actually, not even frayed, broken in half. So definitely at its end of life for the rope guard sleeve. But this thing has been abused. I mean, abused. And is held up fantastic. So let's get this bumper off, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the winch. All right, so just got the old snap ring pliers off to take off the factor 55 in there. Just going to show you the super winch here, how the rope goes around the metal piece there at the end. Still actually in pretty good shape, even though the rope itself has been abused. It's a 3/8 by I think 85 feet synthetic rope made of like a synthetic Dyneema material, and it's been fantastic. No issues whatsoever, no complaints. So this is not a bumper uninstall or install video. So let's skip to the winch. All right, we got the bumper off, so now let's go over the details of what you're gonna have to do to take this winch off. So on the Jeep GL, let's take this factory little skid plate off. I think it's 2 bolts, that's it, just that bolt and that bolt over there. And then under here, you have 4 bolts, these 2 in the front, and then there's 2 more just like it behind the factory skid plate that hold the winch into the winch plate. So let's go ahead and get those off, and then we'll lift it up out of there a little bit and talk about the wiring. All right, so since I'm swapping out the Superwinch SX Series 10,000 pound winch for another SX Series 10,000 pound winch, instead of rerunning all the wires through the Jeep to the battery, I'm gonna see if I can take this off and just take the battery off, or the wires off of this, and put it on the new one. But I've never taken this off. So let's see if we can take it off. I'm using a, what size was this? A 2.5 metric Allen. And I don't know if I've ever discussed it on the channel or not, but I do have the world's worst luck, other than maybe my boy here behind the camera, when it comes to stripping Allen heads. So we'll see how this goes. So far so good, 50% loose. No problems. We're actually going to take this winch and repurpose it by bolting it to the front of the old toter trailer. I don't think we made a video when we hauled my boy's truck, but we pulled it up onto the trailer with this winch. All right, so it doesn't look like taking those out will separate this housing. That's probably a sealed housing if I had to guess. But it looks like I can still get to the, huh? Oh, there's some Allens on the bottom, I see. Showtime here, he knows what's happening. So let's undo this plug. It even says Superwinch on the top in case you decide you do want to remote mount this somewhere. What you got there? Oh, is this just stuff you're finding, laying about? Y'all dirty. Alright, just take out one little plug there. I don't know that I want to take that off, actually. I think I can get a, because if that's sealed up, I'm sure it's part of the waterproof, and I don't know if I want to take that apart. Mess that up. I don't know. Maybe I will just rerun a hot wire. I don't really want to do that though. All right, let me think about this and I'll get back with you with my decision. All right, here's these two bad boys side by side. Basically identical winches. This one's just brand new and black. This one still works like brand new and gray, or maybe silver, I'm not sure. But let's talk about what we did back here. So I was gonna separate this box because it looked like I wasn't gonna be able to get anything in here to take this nut off, but turns out a 13 socket fits right up in there nicely. So I just took the power off of that goes to my battery currently. And now I'm going to take the same 13, take this one off, and then when I put it back in the bumper, I'll just attach the hot there and the ground down here, which is also a 13. And we'll be ready to rock. So let's go ahead and get this, you know what, I want to get this wireless remote cut off of here so I can show you the difference between this one and the one I ran over. Be right back. All right, check this out. Brand new wireless Superwinch remote versus the old Superwinch remote that I ran over. Literally ran this over with the Jeep. See the plastic housing broke right there at the seam. Plenty of gravel marks from where it got crushed. Perfectly fine on the opposite side, but both, well, I haven't tested the new one, but this bad boy that I ran over with the Jeep still works. Here's how you make these work in case you didn't know. You push the in and the out button at the same time. Red light, works like a champ. Obviously neither one of these winches have power, so that's not gonna work, but that's how you make them work. One other cool thing that I don't think I mentioned about the Superwinch, because I do quite a bit of night wheeling, is under here, I guess you can't really see it too well, but under here there's a drum light that shines on the drum at night, so you can actually see how you're spooling things. Obviously this one wasn't spooled up too good last time I used it, but like I said, I do the worst maintenance ever. I might do better on the new one, but man, she's been a really good winch. Let's talk about mounting. So here's my winch bumper. You see there's 4 bolts or 4 holes. I showed you where the 4 bolts were earlier. And the winch comes with these square nuts. And all you have to do to mount this thing is you put those square nuts inside these slots, set her on the bumper, and then the bolts go in through the bottom. So let's do that now. All right, so we got all 4 bolts tightened up in there. Easy peasy. Those square nuts that slide into the winch, they slide back and forth, so I just took a little flathead screwdriver, looked up in the hole, slid it over where it needed to be, and they went in just fine. I'm sure if I read the instructions, there's torque specs for these, but I just gave them like 3 ugga-duggas and 2 tush pushes. And now she's all bolted in, centered up. Now all I gotta do is climb back under there and hook up the ground wire. I was able to easily reattach my old power wire. Here's the new power wire. I just took it off the new winch. We'll put it on the old winch. That way it's got a power wire. And then we'll start putting the bumper back on. But that's pretty easy. If you're just installing a winch, you already got your bumper off. Power to the battery, ground either to the battery or to a really good ground on the frame. Mine's running directly to the battery. And then 4 bolts and your winch is installed. I'm undecided. I think I might actually swap out the fair lead so I have the new one, just because it's shiny and new. And then we'll get the bumper put back on. Let's go. See you in a minute. All right, we are gonna swap out the fair lead just because this one's been kind of beat up, been banged against some rocks. It's been in the mud and the dirt and rained on. And since Weston and Superwinch was nice enough to send me this, This is the exact same fair lead, by the way, front and back. One's just used. But since they were nice enough to send me this free of charge, we're gonna put this nice new shiny Superwinch fair lead on the front. So let's get that installed on the bumper. It's literally just 2 bolts. Your hardware kit comes with these, so Allen head bolt, lock washer, and a nut. That's it. So let's get her put on. All right, we got a nice new Superwinch fair lead on the front of this beat up bumper. But that's all right. One thing I did want to mention that I didn't talk about earlier, when you put this on, oftentimes the bumper itself doesn't have the best edges. So you want to make sure that you put your fair lead centered on that hole, so as your rope is coming out the sides, that it's not scraping anything sharp back there. The fair lead does a fantastic job of keeping the rope safe. Just make sure you center that upright so it's not scraping against the bumper behind there. All right, I think that's going to do it for the bumper install. Again, here's the old one. And here's the new one. Not going to bore you with putting the bumper back on. One thing, just make sure that you put this through the bumper hole, through the fair lead, before you put the bumper back on, or you're going to be out of luck. And before you put the hook on. But after that, brand new Superwinch SX10 Midnight Edition.
Hi.
So I'm not an old man. What are we?
A brand new man. Daddy, look what I found. I find this.
All right, like I said, we're not going to bore you with putting the bumper back on. That's the winch. That's how you install it. You know what they say? When your family's running around playing, you got cool hats that you can steal off your children and nice bumpers on the front of your Jeep. It's not a bad life if it's a dad life. Let's go.
Okay, we'll go. Bye. I'll go.